Alright, hello and welcome back to our playthrough of the Polaris storyline here in Escape Velocity Nova. So when we last left off, we had just ferried some Muhari operatives to strategic parts around the Federation. And we were going to, look in the mission BBS here for the next assignment from Miranda. So, Mu Evelyn's investigation is coming up with a few too many blanks. It is almost as if somehow evidence is being deleted faster than we can find it and follow it up. I need a new approach. Interested? Yeah, of course we are. So this is continued. In the past, I have occasionally gone into the Federation myself to scout for various things, and whenever I found myself drawing a blank, I would always go and see one man who somehow would, without fail, push me in the right direction. His name is Eamon Flanagan. You should remember him from your time with the wild geese. Very few people are as well traveled. As you may already know, he is called Arkandar by the Aurorans, and is acknowledged by them as a warrior and a master of the Heron style of martial arts, or as knowledge about the political state of the Federation. Having this interlude in the sentence, I mean, yeah, it's nice that it's describing his background with the Aurorans and his mastery of the martial arts style, because that's important. It does make it a really awkward sentence to read. I feel like this could have just been split into two sentences. I want you to find him and ask if he can help us out with any information regarding the Bureau. Chances are he won't tell us anything straight out, but he might suggest a way for us to find out what we want to know. I am sure that we don't need to tell you to treat him with the utmost respect, as you would know that he is one of the most skilled warriors around. Even the Nilomoria speak of his deeds with open admiration. Alright, so apparently Eamon is even well known in Polaris space, so, I mean, not surprising. He is, I think, one of the few characters who you interact with in every single storyline. Him and maybe Miranda. Either way. And thanks to our multi-jump organ, going down to see him won't take forever. In fact, I think it should only take 2 jumps. It's kind of remarkable. 10 jumps at a time? I tell you, we're living the good life now. Yep, so that put us into Cania. And we saw a little manta going after a Rage gunboat. I mean, my money's on the manta. Rage gunboats aren't really very effective on their own. They're more of a pack ship. If you have a whole swarm of them, they're pretty dangerous. One on its own, not a big deal. Alright. As soon as you land, you head over to Eamon's office and enter to see him stripped to the waist, showing off all his tattoos, dealing out a beating to 4 young men in wild geese uniforms on a large square padded mat. The ease at which he is humbling highly trained soldiers speaks volume to his skills. As soon as you enter, he calls a stop to the proceedings and tells his young students to take a 15-minute break before coming over and shaking your hand. Greetings, Knight of the Red Branch, he says warmly in his impossibly deep voice. I had a suspicion you were this Ory'Hara Miranda keeps telling me about. Care to join me on the mat? Oh good, it's that training that Mikaline was always terrified of. Time after time he makes you submit or collapse in pain. Never before have you felt so inadequate. After what seems like hours, you start to discern at the edges of your awareness a series of swirling patterns. Whenever you concentrate on them, they seem to slip your grasp, but the longer you spar, the more certain that somehow Eamon is deliberately guiding this somehow spiritual pattern to help him maintain his dominance. Not long after you make this realization, Eamon stops. I think you have been named well, he informs you in a slow, thoughtful manner. Nobody has ever become aware of the weave so quickly. I will train with you for the rest of today, he tells you, in a voice loud enough to reach the 4 students that filed back into the room at some stage while you were sparring. And tomorrow morning I will meet you in the bar, and I will try to answer the question Miranda wants you to ask. In the meantime, switches back to training, I want to show you a few techniques. Alright, and true to form, if we go to the bar, we can get on with the next part of this. I just wanted to quickly check to see if we're holding on to any outdated Federation stuff we can unload. So we are running out of room to outfit this ship. I think with that multi-jump organ we're actually down to 0 tons, but alas, nothing catches my eye. When you wake up the following morning, you decide that you have never felt worse in your life. It seems as if every muscle, sinew, and bone in your body is in excruciating pain. You decide that you have nothing to lose, so you go through a series of limbering up exercises Eamon taught you yesterday. And surprisingly enough, in half an hour, you feel relatively okay. You walk down to the bar, where you recognize Eamon sitting at a dark table at the rear of the bar because of the intense stillness around him. You still cannot read the weaves, as he calls the way he views the universe, but you know that nobody else around has the ability to control the space around them as utterly as he does. I wasn't expecting you to pick me out quite so easily, he congratulates you as you sit down. The speed at which you have picked up what you have is almost alarming. I have never even heard of someone learning to discern the weave so quickly. But tell me, why are you here? He goes on to ask. What does Miranda want now? You quickly outline the reasons behind the Polaris investigation of the Bureau. After giving him some of the details of the operation, you finish by telling him of Miranda's comments and asking him if he can be of any help. When you finish, Eamon leans back and looks down at the table. You certainly can pick him, he mutters quietly, shaking his head, smiling. I take it the Mohari have been concentrating on the major centers of Federation space. You nod, to which he shakes his head before continuing. The Bureau doesn't operate out in the open. They'll never find out much doing that. When you get back to Miranda, tell her to put somebody on New England. From there, they should be able to get onto the right track. In the meantime, he tells you, rising, I suggest you keep practicing your new skills. And I would look into training with the Nilomoria, as they could definitely teach you a thing or two. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go do that. The Nilomoria being, of course, the warrior caste. Here we actually see... I thought it was going to be Eamon in that mod Starbridge. No, he's instead up here in the other mod Starbridge. And we have an Association Pirate Enterprise. That, of course, is the pirate guild that the player is a part of in the pirate campaign. Alright, so... I think we want to just head back to, Ory'Hara. And there we can actually talk to Miranda again, I believe. Once again, it's only going to take 2 jumps. Oh, I love it. It's great. What's interesting is now that we've done the research for the cloaking device, some of these ships show up with the subtitle of Cloak Detected. Alright. During the long journey from New Ireland to Ory'Hara, you while away the hours doing the exercises and practicing the techniques taught to you by Eamon. Within a week, you notice a definite improvement in your power and your speed. Day by day, you find it easier to focus on the patterns that surround everything around you. By the end of the journey, you can open up your mind to the spiritual realm at will with only a few seconds of concentration. Never in your life have you felt more alive. As you pilot your way down to the surface, as you have done on thousands of worlds before, you decide that if you ever get the chance, you will follow Eamon's advice and train with Nilomoria. If anyone can teach you more about the skills you have only just begun to learn, it would be them. Now that your mind has been opened, you want to explore much further into this new universe that has been shown to you. When you land, you are met by Miranda's dark hair and pretty face. Before you can even begin to ask her about the Ory'Hara business, she holds up a hand and stops you short. I can't explain right now. She explains in answer to your unspoken questions, which startles you until you remember that Mudren said she was a telepath. I haven't slept in over a month now, and if I didn't need to hear Eamon's answer in person so that I could act upon it immediately, I would be off trying to tie up about a dozen or so other loose ends. Now what did he say? You keep your peace long enough to tell her of his suggestion that she places somebody on New England. While she contemplates the answer, you open up your mind to become aware of the weaves around her. Without warning, she stops talking, and you sense from the patterns around her that she is aware of what you are doing. I see you got more than just an answer, she says shrewdly. Keep checking the mission BBSs. If I need you, that's how I'll reach you. So pretty standard. Let's just take off and land and see if we can get it here. Nope, not this time. Let's go ahead and head to the... Let's head to Kalari. No other reason than I think it's fun. So we are beginning to be trained in the telepathic arts. And I wonder if it actually shows up in the honors yet. No, it does not. But later on it will. So I think we're just going to be flying around, landing on places where we can get missions until Miranda decides to contact us. There's no hard-coded delay on this one, so it's just a matter of luck. Unfortunately, Polaris Space doesn't have any side missions, besides technically the Route B high technology stuff, which of course we've already done. The closest you get is like this, which is the Defend the Nilomoria mission. So why don't we go ahead and do that, just to show off the dialogue. Message to Jim from Miranda. We have recently intercepted some radio traffic that suggests the Federation will be launching a raid on our defenses in an effort to gain some intelligence on our capabilities. Nilomoria are more than happy that you have decided to help. Land on Nilomoria in the Mjolnir system after helping the warriors there chase off any Federation ships in orbit. Good luck. So if you remember earlier when we had to do this as part of the main story, the dialogue is very similar. But if nothing else, it will give us a chance to fire off some Wraith-Eye and blow up some Federation ships, which in of itself, you know, that's a good enough reason to do it even without getting paid. But the pay is not bad. I think it's 50,000 for this. We'll find out. And it will take only 2 jumps to get there. Alright, so we're going to have a backup with a Scarab, and a Manta, and 2 more Scarabs. Alright, so this should be pretty straightforward, actually. I don't think we even need to fire a shot. See, it's that improved beam that I can't wait to get. Watch those Mantas, you know, zip out and blow everything up. They really are the best, you know, light interceptor bay to have is the Manta Bay. They're just so ridiculously good. Alright, so we didn't lose a single ship. And you know what? I kind of expected that. You were met by a young, gray-cloaked warrior upon landing. I wanted to meet the man who is becoming the legend. He smiles in a quiet manner all the Nilomoria seem to have. So I offer to pass on to you our thanks for your service, and inform you that 100,000 credits have been transferred into your account. Once again, as this warrior walks away, you are left standing there with the same unanswered questions as before. So only a slight variation on the dialogue we got when we first did this. Alright, I guess we'll just jump back to Mu'aro. Mu'aro. Aro? I don't know. Pronunciation. That's the biggest foe. Not Melissa Crane. No, it's pronunciation. Not the Aurorans. It's the names. Auroran was an easier language to get your head around than Polaris. Or Polaran. Alright. Attention Ory'Hara. Message to Ory'Hara from Miranda. While I am looking into the info given to us by Flanagan, the Nilomoria have sent word that a number of Auroran ships have begun gathering in the Fallen system. Are you prepared to go and have a look? Sure. Apparently, our long-range scanning has detected a sustained buildup of activity in the Fallen system, and the Nilomoria, having learned to trust you after your efforts defending the border against the Federation, would like you to go and land on the Fallen station in that system. They just want you to have a look around, but stay on your toes. The Aurorans are a tough bunch, and they like to test themselves against us, for they deem us to be worthy opponents. I like how worthy opponents is in quotations there. I like to imagine the Polaris just don't particularly know why the Aurorans are so adamant about fighting them, and so it's like, oh, yeah, we're worthy opponents or something. But really, it's not even close. Auroran ships are just not made to fight Polaris ones. My poor beloved Aurorans. Yeah, just watch this cruiser. And he's gone. Okay. So, Fallen. Unfortunately, by the nature of this mission, we won't be able to read the dialogue on the station. But trust me when I say this is one of the stations that talks about warriors coming to test themselves against the Polaris and getting their purple battle tattoos. Because, of course, an Auroran warrior's tattoos is essentially their resume, their career resume, or their curriculum vitae. And the color and the shape and all these little minute details tell them how they were earned and why, and the purple ones mean they fought a Polaris. They do not have to win, they just have to fight and survive. Alright. As soon as you land, you're met by a single elderly Auroran warrior, who appears to be covered in tattoos from head to toe. So, the Polaris have discovered us here again, he rumbles quietly. Your people are indeed resourceful. As he talks, a steady and orderly stream of warriors exits surrounding buildings until you're faced with exactly 100 Auroran warriors. So what, do we count them as they're coming out? Is he talking and we're just, having a tally of the Auroran warriors streaming out of these buildings? Still, the original warrior ruminates slowly. It'll be interesting to see if they have as much warning this time if we launch immediately and destroy their spy. He looks at you and smiles almost wickedly. Don't worry, he intones arrogantly. We won't cut you down here. It isn't really a fair fight. But you will leave this place immediately, and we will pursue you. With your fancy ship, that's fair enough for my standards. We'll see just how capable you Polaris are. With that, he nods to a couple of his warriors, who walk you back into your ship and close the hatch behind you. As soon as you get back to the bridge, you resolve to try to head back to Nilomoria in the Nil-Ikro system, simply because it is the closest Polaris system. As soon as you begin warming your engines, you hear the radio buzzing with an alert call from the Aurorans informing all ships that you are to be destroyed. Okay, so we are going to be immediately ejected from the station as soon as I press return here, and you'll get to see how the Aurorans pursue spies. All the beautiful railgun fire. And they actually jump in more cruisers. So we have a ton of cruisers. You can tell they're part of the mission because they have the Warrior's Pride subtitle on them. But regardless, we're just going to pop off to this system, and if there's any significant Polaris ship presence, they're not going to last very long. Yeah, there's a Scarab and a Arachnid. Polaris are doomed. I mean, the Aurorans are doomed. Polaris will be just fine. I would like to get a better look, but at the same time, I'm just going to be playing it safe. I mean, we could cloak. That's something I had not considered. Interesting to see a Leviathan here. Usually they don't venture into Polaris space. Yeah. Poor Aurorans. You almost feel bad. Okay. As soon as you land, your ship is surrounded by a group of Nilomoria warriors who are all awestruck at the damage to the various parts of your ship. You really are Ory'Hara, says one old warrior as he looks over your ship. Who else could survive that with his level of training? Perhaps Master Arando should hear of this. He turns to you and looks you up and down. Not only do you have a good heart, he comments quietly, but you have some good skill, and more than a touch of luck about you. It appears that you're capable of putting the rudimentary weave skills you have to good use. Now, while your mission was technically a failure, he smiles gently, a donation of 100,000 credits has been transferred into your accounts for your efforts on behalf of the Polaris. Very few people have the heart to do what you just did, and even fewer have survived to return to us. So if you find that we will do what we can to look after you, I mean, maybe they don't survive and want to do these things because you're implying that you didn't expect them to. This sounds like it was a suicide mission. Okay. Hopefully, he grimaces, the money should cover the expenses to nurse your poor ship back to health. How she survived that beating, I have no idea. One final note, he finishes seriously. Apparently, Miranda wants you to continue keeping an eye on the mission BBS around the place, in case she needs to contact you. Alright, so now we are just back to waiting. I do believe this opens up a new regular mission in the mission BBS, which is, in addition to the defend Polaris space against the Federation, I believe this one is defend Polaris space against the Aurorans. So it gives you the choice of who you want to fight. Truth be told, it's probably much easier fighting the Aurorans. Alright, so can we get next mission easily? Again, there's no generic delay between these. This is just go and check mission BBSs until Miranda finally reaches out to you. That's how a lot of this campaign goes, actually. I mean, we could be taking these missions to ferry Polarans around Polaris space, but the pay is just so low, I never really feel any inclination to do them. Look at that. It's a Bounty Hunter Guild member. Hello. I don't think we joined that with this character. Let's check. Nope. But that's amusing, because if you do the Bounty Hunter campaign, and if you want to see what that's like, it's up on the channel right now, under the side missions playlist. But you actually try to expand into Polaris space, and are told by Bissandrea herself that it's not really something they have need of. Because the crime rate in Polaris space is practically zero, and they have no issues defending their borders on their own. So the bounty hunters would not have any real work. Alright. How about we go to the Nilomoria homeworld, because I know that later on we have to go there, and it has a mission BBS anyway. I don't think I'm confused. I think that we do need to just keep doing as they say and checking out the mission BBS. Oh, there it is. Never mind. Disregard. Attention Ory'Hara. Message to Ory'Hara from Miranda. I have set a few minor things in motion, and I am now ready to act upon Eamon's suggestion. Interested in helping out? Of course we are. I have been in contact with Evelyn, and he has managed to uncover some disturbing information about the Bureau that backs up Eamon's suggestion to place an agent on New England in the Wolf 359 system. Mepharin. Okay, Mepharin. I'll be waiting for you to pick her up on the Verashan in the Verashan system. If anything comes up between now and then, she'll be provided with the details so that she can pass it on to you when you see her. Good luck. I believe that this is the homeworld for the Verash. And we still don't have access to anything else cool. We're getting close to the point where we will have access to that, though. Come on. Alright. Let's pick her up, and she's going to be our spy at Bureau HQ. Hopefully she can avoid getting in the way of Crane. Upon landing, you're greeted by a stunning woman with ash blonde hair and big blue eyes. I am Mepharin, she introduces herself delicately. And if I'm not mistaken, you are Ory'Hara? You nod, wondering if she too is somehow testing you as well. As you think this, you almost reflexively open your mind and begin observing the way she moves the weaves around herself. Almost at once, you sense that she can detect you observing her in this deeper fashion, and you surmise that she is a telepath. Oh no, she shakes her head at your unspoken question. I have heard of a great many of your deeds, and have heard even more about the way you are developing. I guess you could call me a believer of sorts. I think you will become the Ory'Hara the legends speak of. In the meantime, she continues quietly with a slight smile, I believe we need to get to New England in the Wolf 359 system. Alright, so let's go ahead and take her into the Lion's Den, because New England is, of course, Bureau HQ. I have to wonder how the Velos don't just catch them, because that is something you have to do in the Velos campaign. But I suppose they may not be aware of the... Oops. Let's not get caught out by those missiles. I would think they would be aware of the Muhari spying on them. But who knows? Maybe they're just that good. Alright, you know what? Oh, not you. There we go. And this makes the whole horseshoe thing even easier, because they just don't know what to do at this point. They can't follow us. The cloaking device kind of makes things too easy. It turns out that Mepharin spent the early years of her life training as Nilomoria, and that, therefore, she's one of the most accomplished warriors within the Muhari. So early on in the voyage, you ask her if she can continue the training started by Eamon Flanagan. Day after day in hyperspace, she pushes your body and your mind to new limits, reveling at how quickly you learn. Within days, you learn to fall into observing the weaves of life, as she calls it, without any effort at all. A few days more, and you realize that you find the more normal forms of observation, sight, sound, etc., more taxing to use than this level of spiritual awareness, which has become very relaxing. By the end of your voyage, you have even crudely affected the weaves around you to create, in effect, your own weaves. Not once in the time you spent with her did you even come close to even matching Mepharin's skill, but in a few weeks you have spent under her, I think that should be tutelage, not tuition, but okay, you know that you have made enormous leaps forward. Never mind the fact that because we have the multi-jump organ, we did not spend weeks with her, but okay. You truly must be Ory'Hara, she informs you in her quiet, delicate manner as she helps you with your post-flight routine. Nobody else could learn what you have this fast. Young Nilomoria take years to learn what you have, and Muhari with no prior warrior training take even longer. After a short pause, you turn to her and ask her if she can tell you anything about why Miranda began calling you Ory'Hara. She looks at you for a long moment before replying. Ory'Hara is a legend passed down to us by the Velos, she says sadly, after they saved us from the Colonial Council. They said that the time of disunity we had begun would finally be ended by one who would become known as Ory'Hara. Over the past 6 centuries, we have been waiting for you, so that we can finally be rejoined with the rest of humanity. To learn more than that, she continues after a sad sigh, you'll have to talk to one of the remaining Velos. Only they know more. You watch on, bemused as she casually walks away. Alright, so we need to talk to a Velos. Gee, I wonder where we can find one of those. I believe actually we should probably go back and talk to Muhari, or Miranda. But let's just stop in Seoul, because there are Velos in Seoul. But it does not appear that that is where the game wants us to be. Alright, so we'll head back and see if Miranda has any further insights. Although, let's make a quick stop in Tautha. That's the only other place I could expect there would maybe be lead. I mean, there's also always Goliath, which is next fellow's system, but I think that part comes later. Yeah, nothing here. Okay, so back to Polaris space. I can blow up this rage gunboat. I don't really feel the need to. So let's plot a course back to Ory'Hara. And from there, we can try to figure out what our next step is going to be. We are close to being able to buy the really nice ships, so the Scarabs and Arachnids. And I'm hoping that is in the next couple missions. Alright. Miranda? Excellent. As you slowly walk down the ramp, practicing your weaves as you go, you sense a familiar flow coming towards you. You look up to see the deep auburn hair and happy smile of Miranda as she enters the bar. I see you've been working hard, she compliments you regarding your new abilities. Every time I meet you, you seem to have noticeably improved. But that's not why I'm here, she shakes her head, losing her smile. We discovered that New England is the secret headquarters for the Bureau, and with a little digging, we have managed to verify quite a number of claims made by the rebels regarding the actions of the Bureau. I will spare you the details, but it isn't pretty. Many of the things done by the Bureau can be best described as sickening. Anyway, Miranda continues, shaking off her grim mood, we need someone to head over to the rebels and inform them that we are prepared to open diplomatic ties with them. Interested? Yeah, of course. I knew I could count on you, smiles Miranda happily. You are always prepared to help out. Getting back to the point, she grins. Tell the rebels that we are prepared to allow them to send a single diplomat to stay on Kalari, along with whatever staff he or she needs. All the normal diplomatic rules apply, diplomatic immunity and the like. While you are there, she laughs quietly, you can tell them to stop trying to hide their copies of our dragon. We don't mind that they have started producing them, as they are probably the least combat capable of all of our crafts. Have you seen the Cambrian? And we have no problems with helping out our new friends by allowing them access to the original schematics. We are, however, very interested in finding out how they managed to get the plans in the first place. Another thing, Miranda continues more seriously, avoid all federations as much as possible. Now that we know about the Bureau, we know that they have access to the sensor logs of all Federation vessels. I mean, fair enough. So I think that is going to have to wait till next time. We are coming up close to half an hour here, and so good place to call the episode. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you feel so inclined, go check out one of the prior storylines here on the channel. If you liked something in particular, let me know in the comments down below. And no matter what you do, until next time, I hope that you have a good one.